In this session, we're going to discuss how Venafi can help with audit remediation for SSL/TLS and SSH. The challenge with audit findings principally are due to the lack of certificate and/or SSH keys. The ability to have policies, you can determine the policies, but you need to be able to enforce them as well. We're also unaware of where these keys and certificates are located and who's the owner for these keys and certs. We also need the ability to determine who has access to these SSH keys. How often are they using them? When are they accessed? Where are they accessed? We also need the ability to enforce policies of how SSH keys are issued and how they're rotated. And there's also the ability to provide evidence that demonstrates how policies are enforced, as well as if there is a policy violation, how do we remediate that? So the tasks that are necessary to address these challenges are that we need to detect all SSL certificates and/or SSH keys. A discovery engine, find them, identify them, and bring them into an inventory. We also need the ability to enforce policy for issuance and rotation, as well as replacement when they expire or when they need to be revoked. We also need the ability to have an automated workflow and approval process so that when new keys and certificates are issued, we have the ability for someone to approve that and make sure they're used accurately and in appropriate manners. We also need the ability to have a self-service portal so that users have a very easy way to request keys and certificates, because we want to make sure that policy enforcement is easy for the user. We also need the ability to have APIs so that other applications can call into this central location that does issuance to make sure, once again, that through APIs, the policies are enforced. And finally, we need to validate remediation. Once a task is complete, we want to make sure that that key and certificate is in use, it's responding appropriately, and that it's in compliance, and we need to have reports on that to show that everything was done successfully. So how can Venafi help with this? There's three manners: protect, detect, and respond. On the protect side, we have the ability to enforce policies for certificate and key replacement. It's, as I said previously, it's not just a matter of defining policies, but the ability to make sure that they are enforced upon issuance and rotation. And on detect, we have the ability to detect all keys and certificates from both SSL, TLS, and SSH with a discovery engine to find what's out there, bring them into inventory. We also provide a real-time dashboard and reporting to make sure that things are appropriate, if they're matching policy. If something's outside of policy, we need a dashboard to show us that, and the ability to say what's in compliance and what's not in compliance. And then finally, under respond, is having the ability to have a workflow wrapped around a portal so that when someone needs to renew a key or certificate, they can easily go through the portal and then have someone authorize that and approve that and make sure it's used appropriately. And then finally, there's the ability to automatically remediate unauthorized keys so that if something is found to be outside of compliance or outside of a policy, the user should be very easily able to just click a button, say I want to renew this, and then our process should be completed and make sure that that key or certificate is replaced with a policy matching key and certificate. All right, let's take a look at a demonstration when we'll look at these things. On the protect side, the very first thing we talked about was policies. So what we can do is we can look at the policy tree here in the user portal within Venafi, and we can look at this policy called production SSH. Now, these policies are very configurable based on your organization, but you'll notice that we have the ability to set our policy standards. What algorithms are going to be used? What's our key sign? What format do we want to use? And then do we want to allow duplicate private keys? You can see the rest of these. And then you also have the ability to do things such as, I want to allow these keys to be used from these locations, or I say these keys could not be used from these other locations. You can specify who the owner is of the keys. So this is SSH we're looking at here, but it's the exact same thing for SSL, of course, with the differences between SSL and SSH. But the point being is that you can enforce policies at this level, and then when we do discovery, as well as when a user is going to request a new or renew a key or certificate, we're going to make sure that these policies are enforced. All right, so if we go, let's leave the policy tree, and then let's look at the ability for someone to issue a certificate or a key. So the thing that they can do is they go to inventory, they want to look at their certificate inventory. They could say, I want to create a new certificate. And then basically we would just walk them through this particular wizard. They would say, okay, what is the nickname? What is the description? We have custom fields. They choose next. And then you'll notice that we're only asking them for the common name and the OU of the certificate. We're not asking them to enter key information, the organization, the city, the state, all of that manual process. We're doing that for them in an automated manner based on those policy settings. So the point here is it's very, very simple for our users to request keys and certificates. And so by making it easier on them, they're going to want to use this solution. And then also make sure that we enforce the security policies. All right, so then let's look at the detect side of things. So the very first thing we talked about is discovery. And so you'll notice that we have a network discovery capability. And so if we want to look at an example, network discovery, for example, what I have is my details and target. So it shows me the name of the discovery job. And our solution supports multiple discovery jobs so that you can do things such as by geographic region or by BU or by component. You have the ability to make multiple discovery jobs. And then each job has its own settings. So for example, this job just has one class C, but then I could do another, for example, if I just wanted to do one particular host, or, you can do whatever you wanted to do here, something like that. And so then you can also specify the port ranges that you want to use. So it's very, very simple to set up the discovery jobs. But one of the things that is really important about our discovery jobs is you'll notice this notion of a placement rule. So with the placement rule, what it does, it says that if I find a certificate or key that looks like this, and we look for certain attributes on that certificate or key, we will automatically place it into the particular policies that we looked at earlier. So the point here is that when we do discovery, a user doesn't have to interact with the system in order to make things happen. We discover things, we automatically place them into policies so that no user interaction is necessary. We immediately begin monitoring it, and immediately we'll look to see if anything is out of compliance, and the ability to remediate those things and fix anything that may be problems. Once the discoveries are complete, then we typically look at the dashboards. So you'll note that there's an SSH key dashboard and a certificate dashboard. So if I choose certificates, you can see we're looking at things such as critical alerts and the status and what are our authorized certificate authorities. We can also scroll down a little bit and we can look at things such as what's coming up for expiration. I can hover over this. I can see that there's 2 certificates coming for expiration. I could then click on this and say I want to remediate that. But it's also important to note on the dashboard some of the critical alerts. So things such as the signing algorithms, what are the unapproved CAs, what are our validity periods. And so this gives, once again, that immediate visibility. If there's something outside of our policies or outside of compliance, let's fix those immediately and get them into a compliant state. All right, so the last thing we wanted to talk about is respond, which was both the workflow approval as well as remediate. So this is a very brief demonstration, so I'm not really going to go into the workflow approval other than to say that when a user wants to get a new certificate or a new key, we have the ability for a workflow engine to send some sort of notification to that person's manager saying, yes, you must approve this, and that can be done via email. It can be done through ticketing systems. We have lots of ways to integrate with external systems. But so let's look at remediation. So we looked at how easy it was for a user to request a new certificate. The exact same thing. Let's say that something's expiring, or for instance, we may have a self-signed certificate, or let's say, a big thing that's happening in the world today is the moving from SHA-1 to SHA-2. So you'll notice that all 42 of my certificates, my demo system, are all SHA-256. But let's say I had something with SHA-1, I could click on it, and it would show me that certificate information. I would then have the ability to rotate it and make it up to a SHA-2. But so the ability to click on anything, so I can click here, I can see these 2 certificates. I know that something is going to expire. I could click this certificate and I could say I want to see all the properties about this certificate, and then I could simply just say renew now. And then what renew now would do is, once again, we're going to do all of the manual work for that user. Generate key material, generate the CSR, we submit that to the CA. All of that's done programmatically in an automated manner for the user, so it makes it really, really simple for them to do their jobs if they find something that needs remediation. All right, so in summary, Protect, detect, and respond. Under protect, the ability to establish and enforce policies, the ability to issue certs and keys, and then rotation. On the detect side, a discovery and dashboard. And on response, the ability to have workflow and approval, and the ability to remediate if we find something outside of policy. All right, thank you very much for your time today. If we can do anything for you, please contact us here at Venafi. Happy to help in any way we can. Thank you very much.